Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It is currently June 1st and I am participating in my own 24-hour readathon. Spoiler alert, I've already read 6 books in this 24 hours. But that's for June, because that started in June. Now, this month, my reading was great. I read 27 books in the month of May. 12 of them were 5 stars, so it was very hard to pick my top 2 out of the 12. Then I had 2 2-star books, which was my lowest rating in May. So those are my worst books of the month. And then I had, the rest were 3 and 4 stars. So, oh my god, I had a great reading month. So I thought we would start with the worst books and move on to the best books. That way we end on a good note. So I'm going to show you my first 2 that are, they were 2-star books. I wouldn't recommend them. Okay, so first off, this cover is so freaking beautiful. I don't know if you can see all the gold specks on there. This I was kindly sent from Bookish First. If you don't know what Bookish First is this website that you can go on and you get a sneak peek of upcoming new releases. And usually it's about 30 pages, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And you read that, and then you give them your first look, a review of what you think, and then you can win some of those books to read and go back and tell them your final thoughts. So I won my first one through Bookish First, and I've also earned enough points. You earn points. If you earn enough points, you can just get a book for free. So I won that because when I originally read this, like, the first part of it was super good. I want to say it was like 50 pages of this one that I read, and I was hooked. I enjoyed it so much for the Bookish First part. But then when I finished the book, I felt like it went downhill, and I just did not love it. I wasn't as attached to the ending as I was the beginning part. So I gave it 2 stars. It's a perfectly okay book. I just found it very boring. So I would not pick it again. I don't know. See, the thing is that at the beginning I was really loving it, but then I got confused as to what was going on. And I think that's why I didn't like it. I'll just read. I know I should know what it's about. It's about Jack and his little brother. They are living in harsh poverty, and his mom is very sick, like mentally sick, and one day she ultimately takes her own life, and it's kind of up to Jack as the older brother to take care of his younger sibling and to help. He doesn't want people to find out that he is an orphan because his dad is gone. He hasn't been in the picture for a very long time, and now his mom just committed suicide. So it's just him and his little brother. So now he has to figure out how to, he doesn't want to drop out of school, but he also needs to make money, and he needs very adult responsibilities for a teenager, and It was heart-wrenching and beautiful at the beginning, and then it kind of just went a different way that I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I didn't love it. Let's get rid of the other 2-star book, which is another book I was sent by the publisher. That one was bookish first. I was sent The Photographer by Mary Dixie Carter, which just came out on May 25th. This is an ARC copy that the publisher so kindly gifted to me, so thank you. I went into this pretty blind, which, if you're going to read this, I recommend you not finding anything out about it. So it's going to be hard for me to talk about why I didn't love it. I guess for me, it was a predictable thriller, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that I read so many thrillers that I kind of predicted where this one was going. But essentially, you follow this woman. Is it her name? Delta Dawn is her name. You follow her. She's a photographer, and she becomes very obsessive over this rich family who she idolizes, and she kind of gets a job from them as a photographer because that's her job. And something happens, she makes friends with this woman, and that's all I can tell you. And it's very obsessive and very dark, but it also has the unreliable main character, which typically I really love. It's just that I knew the misdirections that they were taking, and I knew I could predict what was true and what wasn't. And I don't like those kind of thrillers where even I can guess. Yes, I read a lot of thrillers, but most of them just like, whoa, they just jolt me. And they're like, oh my god, I did not see that coming. I didn't get that with this. It was a fine book. I won't ever read it again, so I'm gonna unhaul it. But if you're like new to the thriller realm, or you don't typically go for thrillers, I think this would be perfect for you. It just didn't do it for me personally. And like I said, I had 12 5-star books this month, or in May. And it was hard for me to pick my favorites. So we are going to start with probably the one in the number 2 spot. So it's still a 5-star book. I highly recommend it. Interment by Samira Ahmed. This is a heartbreaking novel that is about the near future of America, where Muslim Americans are put into internment camps. And this is the story of what happens in that internment camp, and how Americans are just turning a blind eye, and how no one is fighting for Muslim Americans. No one cares that they were all locked up for no good reason but hate. And it tore my heart out, because when I read social justice books like this, if it's done really well and it's something that is believable of the society that we live in, this broke me so much. It's a YA book, but don't let that stop you from reading it. It is so hard-hitting, so soul-crushing, and I was mad, heartbroken, and honestly, this is one of the only books I wanted to throw across the room at the end. I don't do that because I like, you know, to keep my books in nice condition, but I really was a sobbing mess. My favorite book of the month, which is kind of weird for me to say because when I picked this up, I picked it up on a whim because my library had the audiobook of this, and I'm like, I've had it on my shelf for a while, I better just read it just to read it. And honestly, I had super low expectations for this book. I thought that I wasn't even gonna like it, and here it is, number 1 book of May that I read. Are you ready? It's a thriller, I'm gonna tell you that, but I didn't think I'd like it. So it's Here and Gone by Henley Beck. So I can't tell you much about this because spoilers. You follow this woman, and why can't I remember? Audra. You follow this woman named Audra, who is driving from Pennsylvania all the way to California to get away from her abusive husband, who I believe is a cop. I could be wrong about that part. But she has finally left him. She took her kids, and she is driving across the country to get away from the madman. And she makes it to Arizona. And then she's in, like, kind of outside of Phoenix, but it's a very small town, and it's just desert. There's, like, nothing there. But she gets pulled over by the police, and he claims it's because she had too much stuff in her trunk, so the back of her car was, like, being forced down. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna stay for the night here at this hotel up the street anyway. I'll just take care of it in the morning. You want to just, like, follow behind me or something? And he is not going for it. The original reason that the sheriff pulled her over was because of the, you know, trunk being too low or whatever. However, when he searches the car, he finds drugs in her car. And Audrey thinks that that is her worst nightmare. So she gets hauled to jail, and her kids get taken away. And then you follow Audrey in jail, or like in a holding cell, and she's kind of telling you the story of her and her husband, why she left him, and she's trying to get her kids back from the police. Now, there is this underlying mystery of that involves the kids and the drugs, and it gets so dark and gritty, and this book gave me nightmares. Like, it's not a horror book, it's a thriller, but as someone who wants kids more than anything in this world, like, I'm so close to being a teacher, and I want to teach with all my heart, but if someone told me today, well, you can either pick to be a teacher or you can pick to have kids, but you can't have both, I would pick kids 100 times over. So I think it's like something that I'm passionate about, something that fuels my heart and my love, is the want to be a mom someday. Whether I adopt or have my own is yet to be determined, and I know I'm almost 30, I need to figure it out, but I'm on a tangent now. So this plays on my emotional fears of becoming a mother, and if I would be a good mother, or it just plays on my passion of becoming a mom. And I can't talk much more about it unless you read this book, because it would be too many spoilers. But oh my god, it scared me to one of my worst fears ever. And not like a gross fear, just like a normal real life. If you're a parent, or even if you're not, if you can imagine a world where your kids got taken away from you, and then like there's an unreliable main character, so you don't know what to believe. Like, is she telling the truth or is the cop telling the truth? And it throws you into this action-packed book. It doesn't start off very action-packed. It starts off very slow, and you're kind of getting little pieces of everything. But when it all comes together, and the ending, amazing, amazing, amazing thriller. I got it because it was at the dollar store, and I had never heard of it. I kind of read the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, okay, it sounds alright. It was amazing. Read this book too, though, because they're both really, really good. This one's going to make you mad and break your heart. This one's going to break your heart. I guess it kind of made me a little mad. But you're going to feel things with these books. So if that's why you read, you want to feel things, read these. This might be my favorite thriller of all time. Oh my god, this is my favorite thriller of all time. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and listening to me babble about these books and best books of the month. We don't need to focus on the negative 2 stars that I gave. But don't forget to like,